While everyone's hunting Morgan dollars and rare wheat pennies, there's hidden treasure in the humble 5-cent piece. Two modern nickels in particular have quietly become legendary among serious collectors, the elusive 1989 and the mysterious 1995. These aren't ancient coins from a bygone era, these were minted within many of our lifetimes, yet they command prices that will absolutely astonish you. So empty those coin jars and pay close attention, because the change in your console might just be worth thousands. Let's start with what might be sitting in your change right now, the 1989 Jefferson nickel. At first glance, there's nothing remarkable about this coin. It features the same Thomas Jefferson portrait on the obverse and Monticello on the reverse that we've seen since 1938. But sometimes the most valuable treasures hide in plain sight. The story of the 1989 nickel is a tale of mint errors and quality control challenges. In the late 1980s, the United States Mint was operating at full capacity, producing billions of coins annually to meet the demands of commerce. This was still the era before widespread computer automation had transformed mint operations, and human oversight played a significant role in quality control. During this period, the Philadelphia Mint was experiencing a perfect storm of production pressures and equipment issues that would inadvertently create numismatic gold, or should I say, nickel. What makes certain 1989 nickels so remarkable isn't their age or intentional design, but rather a fascinating minting error known as a double die. Now, a double die occurs during the die manufacturing process, not during the striking of individual coins. When the hub imprints the design onto a die multiple times, if there's slight movement or misalignment between impressions, the resulting die carries a doubled image. Every coin struck from that die will show doubling in specific areas. The 1989 double die nickel shows pronounced doubling in the mint mark, date, and inscriptions, particularly noticeable in the word Liberty and in Jefferson's eye. Under magnification, you can clearly see two distinct impressions, with the secondary impression slightly offset from the primary one. It's most visible when you examine the letters, where you'll notice a clear shadow or echo effect. The doubling appears most prominently on the 89 in the date and on the R and T in Liberty. What's particularly fascinating about the 1989 double die is that it varies in intensity. Some specimens show dramatic, naked-eye doubling that's immediately apparent even to novice collectors, while others display more subtle doubling that requires magnification to appreciate. This variation has created a hierarchy of desirability among these era coins, with the most pronounced examples commanding significant premiums. But here's what makes it truly special: unlike some mint errors that might have affected just a handful of coins, the 1989 double die affected an entire die run. Estimates suggest somewhere between 8,000 to 10,000 of these double die nickels entered circulation. That might sound like a lot, but consider this: the Philadelphia Mint produced over 536 million nickels that year. That makes the double die variant approximately 0.002% of the total mintage. Finding one is quite literally a 1 in a million proposition. So what's one of these remarkable coins worth today? Well, that's where things get truly impressive. In circulated condition, a 1989 double die nickel typically sells for $200 to $400, depending on the strength of the doubling and overall condition. But in mint state grades, the value skyrockets. A certified MS-63 example might bring $1,000 to $1,500, while premium MS-65 specimens have sold for $3,000 to $5,000 at major auctions. The finest known examples, graded MS-67, have changed hands for upwards of $10,000 in specialized auctions. What's particularly remarkable is how the valuation has trended over time. When first discovered in the early 1990s, these era coins were selling for $50 to $100. By the early 2000s, as their rarity became more established, prices had doubled. And in the last decade, we've seen an exponential increase in value as sophisticated collectors have recognized just how scarce these coins truly are. A 1989 double-die nickel that sold for $650 in 2010 might command $3,000 or more today, an appreciation rate that outperforms most conventional investments. I should mention that condition plays an absolutely crucial role in determining value here. The mint state examples that command premium prices aren't just uncirculated, they're specimens with full mint luster, sharp strikes, and minimal contact marks. The difference between an MS-63 and an MS-65 might not be immediately obvious to the casual observer, but to a serious collector, it can represent thousands of dollars in value. Now, here's where the story gets especially interesting for casual collectors and non-numismatists. Unlike many valuable coins that were pulled from circulation decades ago, these 1989 double-die nickels are still occasionally found in the wild. There are documented cases as recently as last year of people discovering these valuable error coins in bank rolls, spare change jars, and even in circulation. Just last November, a woman in Ohio found a 1989 double-die while sorting through her late father's coin collection, a coin that ultimately sold for $2,800 at auction. There's also a fascinating historical aspect to the 1989 double-die that connects it to the broader economic landscape of the time. The late 1980s marked a period of growing interest in coin collecting as an investment strategy, fueled in part by media coverage of record-breaking coin auctions. The discovery of the 1989 double-die coincided with this wave of numismatic enthusiasm, helping to cement its place in collector consciousness. If you think you might have one of these valuable nickels, there are a few critical examination points. First, check the date. It must be 1989 and from the Philadelphia Mint, no mint mark. Then, using at least a 5x magnifying glass, examine the word Liberty on the obverse. Look specifically at the letters E, R, and T. You should see clear doubling if you have the valuable variety. Also check Jefferson's I, where doubling is particularly pronounced on premium specimens. One caution, though, there are many 1989 nickels with what's called machine doubling or strike doubling, which occurs during the striking process and creates a flat, shelf-like appearance rather than the crisp, separated doubling of a true double die. These machine-doubled coins, while interesting, don't carry the premium value of the genuine double die variety. If you're uncertain, it's always worth having your coin professionally evaluated by a reputable grading service. It's worth noting that the 1989 double-die nickel isn't just a valuable error coin, it represents one of the last major double-die discoveries of the pre-digital minting era. As the U.S. Mint modernized its operations in the 1990s and 2000s, implementing computer-guided design and die-making processes, traditional double dies became increasingly rare. This makes the 1989 double-die nickel not just a valuable collectible, but a tangible piece of minting history, a physical representation of the transition from traditional to modern minting techniques. There's a certain poetic quality to finding such extraordinary value in such an ordinary object. The Jefferson nickel is perhaps our most overlooked circulation coin, not as historically significant as the Lincoln cent, not as useful in daily commerce as quarters. Yet hidden among billions of ordinary nickels are these exceptional pieces that have become legendary among those who know what to look for. It's a reminder that sometimes, the most remarkable treasures aren't locked away in vaults or museums, but hiding in plain sight, waiting for the discerning eye to discover them. Now let's turn our attention to another modern nickel that has coin collectors buzzing, the 1995 Jefferson nickel. Unlike our first coin, which owed its value to a spectacular minting error, the 1995 nickel's story is one of unexpectedly low mintage, pristine strikes, and a fascinating disconnect between official records and numismatic reality. The mid-1990s were a curious time for American coinage. The economy was booming, reducing the need for new circulating coins as electronic payments began their rise. The Mint was also focusing significant resources on commemorative programs and special collector editions, which were becoming increasingly popular and profitable. Against this backdrop, the humble Jefferson nickel continued its quiet service, with seemingly unremarkable production numbers. According to U.S. Mint records, approximately 774 million nickels were struck at the Philadelphia facility in 1995, and another 394 million at Denver. On paper, these figures suggest a completely ordinary, abundant coin that would never command a premium. But here's where the story takes an unexpected turn. Despite these substantial mintage numbers, the 1995 Philadelphia nickel has emerged as one of the scarcest modern business strike nickels in gem condition. The mystery begins with what happened after these coins left the mint. Numismatic researchers believe that a significant portion of the 1995 P nickel mintage may have been melted down rather than released into circulation. The exact reason remains debated among experts, but plausible theories include quality control issues that were identified after production or changes in Federal Reserve ordering that created a surplus. Whatever the cause, the result is clear: 1995 P nickels in pristine condition are astonishingly difficult to find today. But there's another factor that makes the 1995 nickel special: the quality of the strike. For reasons that remain somewhat mysterious, the dies used for the 1995 Philadelphia nickels produced exceptionally sharp, well-defined coins. The level of detail on Jefferson's hair, the steps of Monticello, and the coin's lettering is notably superior to other years from this era. This exceptional strike quality means that even when you do find a 1995 P nickel, it's often noticeably more beautiful than its counterparts from surrounding years. The most sought-after variety of the 1995 nickel is known as a full steps example. On the reverse of the Jefferson nickel, Monticello is depicted with a series of steps leading to its entrance. On most nickels, these steps blend together due to wear or weak striking. But on full steps examples, you can clearly distinguish all 5 or 6 individual steps. The 1995 P is particularly renowned for producing some of the sharpest full-step specimens of the modern era. The market for these coins tells a remarkable story of discovery and appreciation. For the first decade after their minting, 1995 nickels commanded no particular premium. It wasn't until around 2005 to 2007 that advanced collectors began to notice the unusual scarcity of gem-quality specimens. By 2010, certification data from the major grading services confirmed what specialists had suspected: the 1995 P nickel was legitimately rare in grades above MS 65. Let's talk about current values, which might have you emptying out every piggy bank and coin jar in your house. In circulated condition, these coins generally trade for face value, just 5 cents. Even in lower mint state grades like MS 63 or MS 64, they might bring only $5 to $20. But the value curve becomes exponential as we move to higher grades. A certified MS 65 1995 P nickel typically sells for $50 to $100. At MS 66, prices jump to $200 to $400. But it's at MS 67 where things get truly remarkable, with recent auction results showing prices between $1,000 and $2,500. The real treasures, though, are MS 67 Plus and MS 68 examples, which have brought between $5,000 and $10,000 at major auctions. In 2018, a perfect MS 68 full steps 1995 P nickel, believed to be one of only 3 known in this grade, sold for an astonishing $15,275 at a heritage auction. What makes this particularly fascinating is that we're talking about a coin that was minted a mere 30 years ago and has a face value of 5 cents. It's a humbling reminder that extraordinary value can sometimes hide in the most ordinary objects. The certification statistics tell a compelling story about just how rare these high-grade specimens truly are. Out of tens of thousands of 1995 P nickels submitted to PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, only about 30 have achieved the MS 67 grade, and fewer than 10 have been designated MS 67 Plus or MS 68. For context, there are multiple times more 1950 D nickels, long considered a key date, certified in comparable grades, despite the 1950 D having less than 5% of the mintage of the 1995 P. There's also an interesting variant of the 1995 nickel that deserves mention, the Special Mint Set or SMS version. In 1995, the US Mint produced special uncirculated sets with coins that received extra care during production, resulting in superior strikes and finishes. The 1995 SMS nickel is especially prized for its exceptional luster and strike quality. These weren't intended for circulation, so finding one in the wild is virtually impossible, but they're highly sought after by specialized collectors and can command $500 to $1,000 or more in pristine condition. The 1995 nickel also holds a special place in numismatic research as a prime example of what collectors call a condition rarity, a coin that's common in lower grades but genuinely scarce in peak condition. This phenomenon challenges the conventional wisdom that mintage figures alone determine a coin's rarity and value. It demonstrates how factors like strike quality, distribution patterns, and preservation can sometimes matter more than raw production numbers. There's a human element to the 1995 nickel story that I find particularly compelling. Many collectors who specialize in Jefferson nickels report the same experience: years of searching through bank rolls, dealer inventories, and even certified coin auctions, only to be continually frustrated by the elusiveness of gem 1995 P specimens. One prominent Jefferson nickel collector famously searched for over a decade before finding a single MS-67 full steps example for his collection. These stories of persistence and discovery are part of what makes coin collecting such a rich and rewarding pursuit. For those watching who might be interested in hunting for these treasures, here are some practical tips. First, the 1995 P nickel is still recent enough that uncirculated rolls occasionally surface at banks or from dealers who haven't recognized their potential value. Second, pay special attention to the steps on Monticello. A strong, clear strike there often indicates exceptional quality throughout the coin. And third, look for coins with clean, unmarked fields and sharp, well-defined lettering. One final fascinating aspect of the 1995 P nickel is how it connects to broader economic and technological trends of its era. The mid-1990s marked a pivotal transition period in American commerce, with electronic payments beginning to reduce dependency on physical currency. The 1995 nickel stands as a numismatic time capsule from this period of change, perhaps the last generation of circulating coinage produced primarily for commerce rather than collector demand. There's a certain irony in the fact that as our society moves increasingly toward digital transactions, these physical artifacts from the recent past are becoming more valuable and sought after. The 1995 nickel reminds us that sometimes the most remarkable treasures aren't ancient artifacts or gold doubloons, but humble, overlooked pieces of our everyday financial history.